Hey, good morning. Pete from Blackwell Financial Services. Have you ever heard this phrase, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan? So let's talk about that today on the video. So what if I told you there's some things that you could do today to reduce financial stress in your life, to help you make meaningful progress towards any financial goals that you have today or financial goals in the future? Would you watch the entire video? I think if you do, you'll be glad you did and you'll get something out of it. It will be meaningful. And so here are some things for today and for your lifetime that you could do. First thing is easy to say, but it plays hard to do, and that's to spend less and earn more, right? So to get started, we need to make a realistic budget. And an easy way to do that is just look at your checkbook register or print it off the transactions on the internet if you don't get paper statements like a lot of us don't anymore. And then so look at your past expenses, review those, maybe categorize them into different categories, and then look at your pay stubs and see how much you're really making and what your real bring home pay is. And that's probably going to show up on that checking account statement anyway. So then we could look at ways to change that formula, income and expenses, right? You could certainly make more money, volunteer for any training you can get at work, ask for raises, maybe take a second job for just a short period of time and then use 100% of that money for whatever your goals are. But for most people, the easiest way is going to be trim expenses. And to trim expenses, you really got to know what they are. And so that goes back to my first point, which is look at that transaction register to see where your money is really going to. What we find oftentimes working with clients is that they didn't realize how much they were spending on some things. And so that's a great place to start. Okay, now that we started, we got to implement the plan and continually monitor and massage the plan because dynamics change, and so our plan might have to change a little bit. And oftentimes what we see is people have a tough time making tough decisions. And so they get a plan and they maybe put it on paper, and that's a great start, but if you don't take action. And so then it might be a good time to pair up with someone that you can trust. In my case, I'm a certified financial planner. And so you could sit down with us or with someone you trust and have them be that checks and balance to make sure that you're doing the things you are going to do. I had a friend one time call me up and said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I was like, oh, that's cool, but why are you calling me to tell me that, right? And he actually said to me, well, if you have a plan or a goal and you don't tell anybody about it, then when you don't make it, it's no big deal because nobody knew that you didn't make your goal. So he called me just to tell me that he had a goal of accomplishing something, and it was about a 6-month window that we had talked about. And I was like really honored that he would call and pick me to say, hey, I'm going to get this thing done. So 6 months from now, when we talk again, you'll be able to razz me if I didn't get it done. So sometimes that's what you need, someone to help kickstart you and get you going and keep you from making emotional decisions, because money's not emotional, it's just money. It's black and white, it's math, right? So we've talked about having a realistic budget, having someone help us with making those tough decisions. Let's talk about actually putting our money to work for us to achieve those goals, whether they're short-term goals or the long-term goals. So short-term goals, those are best accomplished without stock market exposure. That would be too risky. And we want to keep money in CDs or savings accounts, things like that. But for long-term growth or intermediate goals, even long-term goals, you'll want to consider some stock market exposure so that you can have your money outrun both inflation and the tax man. So stock market exposure is going to be a requirement for those longer-term goals. Hey, we've talked about controlling household cash flow, living within a budget, growing your savings, just a couple of the few ways to get a quick start on achieving some financial security. It's key to work with someone that you could trust, to brainstorm ideas off of and to guide towards financial independence. Certified financial planners like myself are proven to be solid motivators. We'll encourage commitment, we'll encourage persistence over time. So let's talk. You can decide if working with a professional is for you or not. So give us a call or text us at 509-359-9788, 509-359-9788. and put these ideas to work for yourself, and have a great 4th of July weekend coming up this weekend.